ain't no game. This that CSZ game. They said pull up, so I came. You better put some respect on their name. Yeah, 55, what's goody? Kill the vibe, how could he? Big Cardinal on the hoodie. Let me break it down for you fully. This ain't your average broadcast. This ain't just no podcast. The mother shows spread fake news. We just call them broadcast. West, Joey, Sam, Shawn, Dalton. Ain't you know that boy Higgy? He said he don't want no small fries. Tell them they better make them biggie. Yeah, you already know what we be on. We got the crown, we hold the throne. We throw the mails and you take them home. When they ring the bells, you know that it's home. The bar set, we setting the tone. If we set it, then set it in stone. Sit in the streets, set up your phone. You in the Cardinal sports zone.
What is up, everybody? Welcome to this week's episode of the Cardinal Sports Zone podcast. I'm your host, Jeremy Wyman, and we're sitting here for last-minute Sam to come in and get his camera. I think he just does that so I can shout him out first. I'm not really sure, but it is what it is. Higgy, I see that you're trying to enter the room, but your internet's like on -3, and it's just going to pull the whole stream down. So watch from home. We appreciate you. Sam?
Not gonna happen.
Do what?
So it's not gonna happen.
It's not gonna happen. Why? Because you weren't here for sound check?
Nope. It's just not gonna happen. It never works. We've been through this like 5 times already. So I've just given up on it.
I just don't understand. Like, y'all are very tech savvy people. I don't understand how y'all don't, and it's everybody. It's not just you, so I'm not picking on you. Nobody, actually, except for Dalton just now. Dalton's the first person other than Joey to be able to successfully just hit the mute button on the Restream app and be able to mute the feedback. So it is what Sam's here though. Sam Bazin in the house. Dalton Pence.
What's going on?
Gave him his brand new Cardinal Sports. Higgy, if you try to hop in here again, I'm going to permanently ban you from the website. Your internet is trash. Sorry. Steve Francois. No, I'm just kidding. Franconi in the house. Corey Carson in the house. Dalton did get his brand new CSZ t-shirt.
Get on the camera because it's in front of my face. So there we go.
Shawn, why don't you? I think from now on we should have to wear these when for the show, only because I want everybody to see your El Virgo. Mike Murphy in the house. What's up, man? Before we get into the chops of the show, Sam, I want to talk to you a little bit because I know this was your. If you all don't know, Sam is helping take over football responsibilities. You know, Dalton was our football beat writer last year, and Sam was taking over because Dalton's just a busy dude, and he's about to get even busier. Hopefully, I'm putting good vibes out there, good thoughts and prayers. But Sam's taken over, and this was his first. Even though we're 0-1 with him in the press box now, it was your first experience in the press box. So how did that go for you? What I know that Dalton's name was still on all the paperwork up there.
I was about to say, I was wondering. I was like, what do you mean by that? You say it. I got called out for not being Dalton. I was like, what does that mean?
I forgot who it was. It was Mark Ennis. He came and sat next to me. He's like, "You're not Dalton Pence," but I'm not gonna say anything. So I was like, "Nope, no, I'm not." So, but other than that, because it took me a minute. I was walking around like, "Where the heck's my name at?" And I'm thinking. So I walked around and I said, "You know what? Let me go ahead and look at this again." So I looked at it. I didn't see my name, but I saw Dalton's name. So I looked across and it said Cardinal. I was like, "Oh, they just didn't update it."
They just didn't update. That does happen, especially when. They get busy and don't. So I'll be honest with you. I thought Jeff was going to be at the game, so I was just assuming he was going to show you around. I forgot it was TJ. If I'd have known TJ was going to be shooting the game, which by the way, go check out the photo gallery. This dude is nuts on the camera, just like Jeff is, just like JK is. Just some sick pictures there in the photo gallery at cardinalsportszone.com. Check them out. But so the experience, other than you not being Dalton, how was the experience?
It was different. They tell you you're not allowed to cheer in there, which you aren't supposed to.
No, we got me and Steve got in multiple trouble our first couple seasons covering. Well, no, not first couple of the very first season. Everybody was looking at us like we were stupid.
But there was one individual, he shall be nameless, that was churning during the your CR pick, and someone had to go and, hey, shh, you can't do that.
Really. Well, you have to send it. Now I have to know. You have to send that to me in the group chat.
So
What's
yeah,
his name rhyme with?
nice try.
um,
I'll tell you afterwards. But other than that, like it was like I said, the view was different. But I understand now why certain coaches have their coordinators upstairs in the booth. And I'm kind of irritated that we don't have any of our coordinators up in the booth.
okay.
So yeah, but it
Okay.
was great. It was a great experience.
Well, and we appreciate Rocco and all of them helping us out and setting that up for an easy transition between Dalton and Sam. It definitely is different, though. You get a different point of view. You are allowed to go down on the field at the end of this. I think it's the last 5 minutes of the second and fourth quarter. You can get field access.
Last 5 minutes of the
Yeah, something like that.
it started to empty out within that 5 minute market.
Right, because the game was getting really, really close at that point. It is a fun, like it's something that I suggest if you are in the business that you try to do. What's up, Evan? Look, really quick. I tried to set this at noon. I know it's early, but you all complained last week because we were going head to head with the NFL. So now I'm trying to do it earlier, and I got people telling me it's too early. So y'all just have to watch it later. It is what it is. But again, shout out to Rocco and everybody else up there that makes these things seamless for us because I was able to do it for a while. Then Jeff took it over. Then Dalton took it over, and now Sam's taking it over. And I'm sure, dude, I don't know if you're as on time. I hate you, Dalton, for being there as you are for here. But like, if you get there early, they have a phenomenal pregame. Well, they used to anyway. Used to have a phenomenal pregame meal for you.
Oh yeah, you know, that's the food was great.
Oh, okay, yeah. I didn't hear that part.
I was there about
Oh, so you can be there on time.
Listen, I went straight from the bus.
Listen,
straight to Cardinal Stadium. It wasn't bad as I thought it would have been. But I was there. Games was 7:30. I was there around 6:30, 6:35.
What time did you leave?
A lot of people said that was probably the longest game they've.
Oh, it
been
was.
to
The fourth quarter did start at 10:45.
at Cardinal Stadium.
well, it didn't help you had Bourbon and Beyond right across the street or right across the way. So, yeah. So
As I left, there wasn't much traffic at all. So,
Yeah, because nobody was there when you left.
time as I left, it was well after midnight.
all right, let's get this thing rolling. Again, I'm Jeremy Wildman, host of the Cardinal Sports Zone podcast, coming to you live from the Fitness Market Studios North. Here with Sam, Dalton, the virtual. This dude gets more colds in 1 year than he gets. Well, that could have been one cold. Anyway, it's Shawn Barber.
How's it going, folks?
Sitting on the porch?
Yeah, he has to. He doesn't. For some reason, he doesn't get good connection inside his home.
Well, same here. So,
Well, plus, I think when he was recording in the house, he was doing it from his bathroom, which was kind of odd. So I told him to move to a different room.
good call.
What's up, Micah? Rito, it is a perk, man, and it's something. Look, it's something that we are. What are you doing, Sam? Trying to find somewhere to put the headphone extender?
No, I can't hear you.
You can't hear us?
You can hear me and you and him.
I can hear you talking, but I can't hear you to here. But go ahead.
Okay.
Yeah.
But it's something that we were able to establish when we first, a lot of people do the blogs and the sites and stuff without the intentions of actually just doing it from a fan standpoint. And we were ambitious enough, I guess, to just immediately try to get on. And then luckily we had people up there we knew and were able to get that going and started. And we appreciate it a lot. Look, I know what y'all want today. I know y'all want me to get on here and y'all want me to be angry, Jeremy, and you want me, and I'm gonna let everybody else be angry enough. I'm gonna go ahead and Cody Bischoff says let's bring Clint Hurt home. Look,
Not sure you would he? You think Clint would come home?
I mean, he's a defensive coordinator in the
I was saying,
NFL right
yeah.
now. He's not
Hard
taking a
to-
head coaching job.
listen, I think if the money was right, he was. I talked to him last week, and this is not a flex. This is just, I mean, he's one of the people that I knew.
That's what
As he flexes.
right.
I mean, okay, not intentional flex, but I told him last week, I said, man, we need you to come home and help us out. And he's like, man, y'all be good. And I was like, well, I mean, what would it, like, would you ever be interested? And he was like, never say never. So, I don't know. I think it obviously the price would have to be right. The situation, the circumstances would have to be right. But we're not going to throw any names out though right now. That's not what we're going to do. What we're going to do is this. First off, the chat line is open. Hop in there, give us your thoughts, ask us some questions. We'll answer them. As always, if you want to support the podcast, you can see how to do that below. There are our easy for me to say. You think I've talked before. There's our Cash App, Venmo, and PayPal. Next to it is where you can find us on social media: Twitter, Instagram, Facebook. That YouTube link's incorrect because we are having some YouTube issues this weekend. So we will get that straightened out eventually. Right now it is Cardinal Sports Zone 55. Apparently a bunch of accounts got hacked over the weekend, and we were one of them, as always. That's happening a lot. But it's Cardinal Sports Zone 55. That graphic is not updated. Shout out to the Collision Course crew for having us out Friday. That was an amazing time. Shout out to Preston Brown. Preston Brown's like, I'm going to do a podcast and then be the sideline reporter for the football game. Like, get out of here. What's up, Terry? What's up, Fabian? What's up, Dondi? Yeah, I mean, it would be nice to have Clint Hurt here, but I'm not really sure how that would translate. Look, we're not gonna do those lists just yet. Brian, I'm gonna have to. Why are DB still giving 10 yards cushion? I didn't see that much Friday night. Not as often. I mean, I was here. Wes was here. Joey was here. We watched the game, and at least 90% of the time we were playing press, playing 5 yards or closer. How are we looking with Curtis Williams? I believe that's going to be his visit ends when, Dalton, today or tomorrow?
I think it's already ended. I think
It's already ended. Okay, so he announces Tuesday. Tomorrow. Okay, that's right. I knew it was the day. It ended the day after his visit.
4:30 Eastern time tomorrow.
Let's see. What's up, Donnie? What's up, Clint? I'm not really sure, Clint, why you're watching us. Don't you have a football team that has no losses to be paying attention to? I'm not really sure why you're over here. Man, this is what it. I feel bad for Clint because for a long time, he's a fan of the team down the road. The color we don't mention on the show. BL and then the other letters. I'm not going to mention it, but man, imagine going for 40 years of life rooting for a trash football team. I can't imagine that. We've only had one for about 5-6 years. Like, that's true dedication.
Wait, hold on. Did you say Clint is a fan of the team up the road?
Yeah, Clint Carroll. Yeah.
Oh,
Not the
Okay.
coordinator.
Oh, no, not Clint Hurt. I'm sorry.
Hours, not that one.
my bad. I was like, wait, what?
Pre-game preparations. Let's watch the Cardinal Sports Zone podcast.
Let's go. Fabian says Satterfield's not the guy. Last 3 years losing by 3 or 4 points at some point. It's coaching. Wes says he'll be a Cardinal. I agree with that on Curtis Williams. Robin said she paid attention too. She didn't see the big cushions either. Most teams don't have anyone to cover. Okay, Corey. Before we get into these individual things, let's get to my breakdown really quick. And again, thank you to
Your breakdown.
I'm getting to the breakdown. Thank you again to the Collision Course crew. Preston had some goats in attendance. Doug Budd was in the house. We had Gary the Redbird in the house. We had Jacob and Presley from the state of Louisville were in the house. We had a lot of good people there. We had a good time. Oh, John Lindemann was there in a high chair. Our guy Casey was there. Just too many people. I don't want to leave anybody out. So, and Rito, we'll get to that too. I was like, what the hell, Clint? Hurts Kentucky. Oh, no, not that Clint. Sorry. All right. So first off, I want to do this. I have to give a shout out to Josh Hurd, Lottie, Amy, the entire staff at U of L for putting on an absolute banger of a football game. From what I heard, everything was easier. The Wi-Fi was better. It was just an all-around all-star experience. Shout out I have to give them love. I have to shout them out. What's up, Rob Black in the house watching? So I will absolutely give them, how do they say it? Give them their flowers and appreciate them for doing all they could. We just couldn't pull it off. And the Cards lose another close one, 35-31. This is his 10th loss here after leading in the fourth quarter. We also had several wins after that we pulled off in the end in his first season. But this is a what have you done for me now types, environment. 10 losses after leading in the fourth. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to tell you, we're going to do good cop, bad cop, because I know y'all are going to take the bad cop enough. I'm going to try to be positive. I did see a lot of positives. I saw some negatives as well. I still feel like overall we have progressed every week. I know that people are like, well, that's not good enough for me. Okay. Well, for some people, I'm trying to get this to pop up. Sorry. There we go. Well, that's not good enough for me, but we saw the offenses progressed each week, even though Malik made a horrible throw at the end that we've seen multiple times from him. That's not the first time we've seen that throw. The fumble in the red zone going the other way, I don't know who to blame that on. I really don't. Was that Malik's fault because he tried to pull it out of Cooley's belly, or did Cooley? I don't even know what the play call was. It may have been Cooley may have supposed to have been. He may have caused the fumble, so I don't know that one. But I've seen the offense improve every week. We scored more points Friday night's game than we have all season combined, so that's a positive to me. But the problem is it shouldn't have taken us 3 games to get in this groove that we look like we're in now. Again, offense is looking better every week. Malik has spread the ball around more. I mean, I think he went from game 1 to having 90% of his targets to Tyler Hudson. To last week, it was like 80%, and this week it was 50%. 50% went to him, 50% went to the rest of the receivers. So, and I'm not fishing for good stuff. I'm just telling you what I saw. The 2 turnovers did make the difference. I've seen that 4 sideline interception at least 10 times from him. So our running backs are still running strong or running better. Offensively, I saw the improvement that I wanted to see. Still saw some flaws, but I saw the improvement I wanted to see. Still defensively, I thought got a little bit better this week. The DBs did tighten up on the line of scrimmage. If they don't have that 6'7" kid there, we win that game easily, I believe. We made the backup look great at times, but all he really did was run for his life and toss it up to Tim Duncan. I mean, the 6'7" kid. Brownlee is getting disrespected on the field, but it's not like he can grow a foot. If you watch his technique, it wasn't that. And these are notes that I'm taking during the game. So if they seem out of, if they seem scrambled, it's just because I'm trying to get all my thoughts in. But again, it's not like he can grow a foot. His technique wasn't bad. The results were. What I would have done, and maybe this is just because I'm a football mind, I'm a little bit more progressive. I would have trained. We've got a 6'7" wide receiver on the roster, or 6'6". Why not just train him to play defense on goal line stands like that? It was as obvious. Like, look, Shawn Barber could not tell if a girl was flirting with him if to save his life. He just automatically assumes they're not. But even he could see how wide. Stevie Wonder could have seen how. The second they lined up and the entire team was aimed over, was lined up to the left, and the only 2 people on that side of the field was Brownlee and Manute Bowl. Like, you knew that's what the play was. And he couldn't stop it. He wasn't tall enough to stop it. Like I said, the technique wasn't bad. The results were. My biggest question coming from the defensive side is, why did the guy that absolutely locked this down for us last week, Quincy Riley, not get in the game? Why do Brownlee wasn't doing well because of the height difference. Maybe Riley could have at least done something different to help out. I don't understand that at all. A lot of big completions. I think there were like 3 or 4 20-plus yard catches by them in the first half. That hadn't changed. We have gotten better on the defensive line and the linebackers as far as sacks and penetration. I did like that. We didn't make the big flaw, though. We didn't make the adjustment after they figured out they could do it every time. And I have to give props to FSU's coaches for that, because any other opponent for the last 3 years, they find something that, even Central Florida last week, last game, they started off running it and being very successful, and then they stopped and started passing. Had they only continued to run the ball down our throat, who knows what the results would have been. So Kelly Dickey's stat was crazy. 10 out of the last 18 losses, we've outgained our opponents. Absolutely ridiculous. I saw that as well. But most coaches haven't done that. They've not like stepped on our throats. They've just tried to do all around the field. So I'll give them props to that. FSU will be ranked today. So I guess there's some solace in knowing both of our losses come to teams that either are ranked or will be ranked. Syracuse 3-0. They could be ranked in one of the polls. I don't know. FSU I know will be, just because of the circumstances. So let's go to this, though. The Cards probably will be sitting 2-2 after 4 games, which is where I had them. Coming into this game, FSU was ranked 26. We were 55th. I believe we had a pretty good showing versus a team that will be in the top 25. One of the polls has already been released. They are in that top 25 at 23. Again, just trying to give some positives, because I refuse to give up on this team. As much as I want to give up on this certain members of the staff, I will not piss down my own leg and just be negative. I want them to get better. The coaches want them to get better. The players want them to get better. And if the coaching is what is holding them back, as most believe, then we shouldn't punish the team by not supporting them. We got to get behind them. We got 2 very winnable games coming up in a row. USF played their heart out and barely lost to Florida last night, but I think Florida's trash myself, so I don't think that showed us anything to be worried about. Then we have Boston College here at home. They've got like 18 offensive linemen out. And then we have at Virginia. Now, Virginia is not a good team.
We're at Boston College, by the way.
We are at Boston College. Okay, somebody.
We had Boston College here last year. Remember in the monsoon game where it was like.
Yeah, but okay. Well, then Keith told me the wrong play. Not Higgy's fault this time. Keith Kelsey told me he was going to be in town for the Boston College game, so he was going to come do the show. No, you're not, Keith. It's not here. But still, they have like 18 offensive linemen out. The Virginia game, for whatever reason, no matter how good or how bad they or we are, that game's always tough for us. And I guess you just expect it to be the same way. But yeah, I mean, there's a very good chance we're sitting at 4-2 at the break, as long as the offense progresses the way it does and the defense just doesn't they don't regress. Because one thing I can tell you is that South Florida is a read option team. There's not going to be a lot of unless they just completely change their philosophy, there's not going to be a lot of 40-yard passes down the field every time. I believe also Virginia has a really quick quarterback that likes to rush a lot, so that should bode well for us. He's probably a similar quality passer as Central Florida's. Boston College, I think they just run. So as long as our defense tightens up on them, and we'll be able to get more into their teams as the week, as we get closer to their games. But I really feel like we could be sitting here at 4-2 at the break, and guys, 5 out of our last 6 are against top 25 opponents. So that I think that's probably tied for the most top 25 opponents we've had on the schedule in 1 year. But it's not going to be easy. But we got James Madison in those 6 games that we should be able to take care of pretty easily. I think that James Madison is going to give us a better game than South Florida, actually. But we just got to beat either Wake or Pitt or Clemson or Kentucky or NC State. One of the if we are 4-2 at the break and we beat James Madison, and just one of those 5 top 25 ranked teams will be sitting in a bowl game, and I think that is your goal every season. What is it?
Oh my gosh, I didn't see the one at the top.
What is it?
Go look at the CSZ Podcast Twitter DM.
Oh, okay. Yeah. I'll do that after the show. I'm trying to do a show, pal. All right. And thankfully, it looks like Jordan Travis is going to be okay. He tweeted out, got some good news. All right. Let's open it up. Since Dalton was on time and Sam wasn't, I'm going to go to him first. Dalton, give us the good, the bad, whatever. Like, you just know that I'm not like your generation is. Not you, per se. Your generation just is like, hangs on every single play. We're the greatest. We suck. We're the greatest. We suck. And there's no doubt. Look, I'm not going to sit here and try to sugarcoat this. This is not a good situation right now. But it's not the worst thing that could be happening. It's somebody that has went through 20 years of watching us be the App State money game for most people. I appreciate what we're going through right now, and I know that we're just we're just a couple wins away from being able to have a successful season. I'll go ahead and turn it over because the more I start talking, the more I start thinking about other things, and it's your turn now.
I mean, I echo a lot of your positivity, but I also am not going to tell a lot of this fan base that they don't have. I mean, there's a lot of room for panic here. For the game specifically, look, I think that Jordan Travis goes out. You have a lot of opportunities to win that football game, and you don't. And the whole mantra in the offseason was finishing games. It was getting past the mental mistakes, taking care of the little things throughout the game. And unfortunately, through the first 3 games, thankfully they did that against Central Florida. Week 1 was a tough loss. Week 3, it's more of the same. So the lack of overall consistency from top to bottom throughout the games over the past 3 years, I guess you could say. Yeah, I mean, I think it's alarming. Am I ready to throw the towel in on the season? Well, of course not. Like you mentioned, there's 3 very winnable games. But what this does is it makes the room or margin of error, I should say, very, very slim. Like you said, you almost have to win your next 3. You win your next 3, you're at 4-2, which, I mean, it's solid. I mean, I think that I would feel more comfortable if the team was 5-1, but it's salvageable. James Madison, by all counts, should be a win. There's no guarantee, but should be a win. And then, like you said, you have 5 ranked teams that are currently ranked that you're having to go up against, and to get bowl eligibility, you have to beat one of those teams. Now, granted, some of the teams that are ranked, Wake Forest, Clemson, NC State struggled against the teams that they played yesterday. So are they as good as advertised? Well, perhaps we'll see. Pittsburgh was another team that struggled. So, and we have, I think, 3 of those 5 teams at home. And we lost all 3 of them, or we didn't play Pittsburgh last year, but we lost to 2 of those 3 teams. Like I said, I think that the margin of error makes this a little bit complicated because there's almost no room for error now. Yeah, you can say that we played better with each passing week, and we have, but honestly, I'm kind of past that point. I understand, it's a long season, but we've got to get out of our own way in a lot of senses. And, it's a very frustrating game on Friday evening. It's one of the most frustrating games in Satterfield's tenure, in my opinion, because like Louisville, in my opinion, looked like the better football team. Defensively, they had 10 tackles for loss. I think like 4 sacks, I want to say, maybe 6. I mean, it was in that ballpark. The team looked solid. It was just a matter of defensive backs wise. I think that penalties killed the team. 11 penalties for 81 yards. We were up by 7. Turn the ball over at midfield. It's just things like that to where you keep the opposing team in the ball game, and then all of a sudden you're down in the 4th quarter. And it's just a culmination of a lot of things that over the past couple of years we've just kind of become numb to, because we see it almost every single time it's a close game. And at some point it's like, I kind of feel stupid for expecting different. I mean, I like to see the positives. I'm glad that this team is coming into its own. They've looked solid. in the past, the past week. Week 3 was their best performance to date. But at this point, hey, look, we got to stop with these mental victories. It's time for the results. In no way am I saying that the season's over, but you've got to turn it around, and you have to beat the teams that you're supposed to beat. There's almost no margin for error. And then you've got to have some magic in the back half of the season. So I see the positives. I agree with a lot of what you're saying, but I also understand the urgency that a lot of this fan base is kind of almost feeling hopeless because the first part of the season was supposed to be the easiest part. Now we're like, well, damn. So I get it. Week 4, hopefully the Cards can turn it around and get back to 500. But like I said, we'll see how it goes.
Yeah, and I just full transparency, and you can check by our picks at the beginning of the season. I had us at 2-2 after 4 games, so I expected us to win Syracuse, and lose to Central Florida and Florida State, and beat South Florida. So, expectation wise, I feel like we're at where I thought we would be, but it took too long for us to be where I thought we would be. And just really quick before we go to Sam's thoughts, I do want to give you all the FPI, the matchup predictor. So for South Florida, it is 88% Louisville win. For Boston College, it is 65% Louisville win. So we're in the favor there. Virginia, 65% Louisville win. Pittsburgh is a 37% chance of a Louisville win. Wake Forest, we're favored 52% to 40 or 53% to 47.
Full transparency, I think that's the one ranked team that I'm like, okay, this is probably the game out of those 5.
Yeah, because you saw them against Liberty last night, and they struggled.
And this is the team last year that if it's not for the phantom second that was added on, I mean, we're probably winning that game. So
absolutely. James Madison, we are a 70% favorite in that game. Clemson, we have a 10% chance.
Surprised it's that high.
I'm shocked. NC State, we're at 45% chance to win. That's another team that has struggled the first couple games. And 25% chance to win our last game of the season. So I wanted to share that with everybody in case they were like, why are y'all so well, this is why. So cancel this. Jesus Christ, y'all, stop putting stuff like that in the group chat. Never mind. While the show's going on. Let's see. Okay. Yeah, absolutely. And I'm checking because the Twitter comments don't come through on like the rest of them will, and we'll get to you all in a second here. Little baseball playing fall ball right now. That's pretty cool. I don't not really sure how long we've been doing that, or if they're just now advertising it or whatever. But okay. All right. Sam, your thoughts.
So before I get to my thoughts are kind of skewed for this reason.
Okay.
Florida, USF, Boston College, Virginia, Pitt, Wake Forest, James Madison. I think that they're all winnable games.
Okay.
So if Satterfield wins all of them, then a lot of the noise is going to go away for the time being. So with that being said, I feel like the defense has been making some improvements ever since week 1. I do think it's small, but the saying is you get 1% better every day. I feel like if they can continue to do that, I would like it to be more than just 1%, but improve. I feel like I'm more disappointed in the defensive coaching staff.
Oh, for sure.
Because there's no way a player came to your school and is trusting you, and you allowed him to look that terrible on national TV. You continuously put him in a position to lose. And like
I don't disagree.
Like you said, his technique for the most part was not bad. There were some where he was just horrible, but
that second touchdown catch, he couldn't have done anything better, anything more than grow 6 inches immediately.
It was I think it was after the second one. No, after the first one. And they had an injury to one of their players. I don't remember which player it was. Brownlee came to the sideline, and you could tell his body language was off. there were 4 different people that came up to him separately during that timeout to try to talk to him, to get him to lift his spirits up. And 2 plays later, I think that it was a touchdown again. And my thing was, at what point do you take him off? I think his name was Wilson, right?
Yeah.
Okay. At what point do you take him off of Wilson? Put someone else on him
After the first touchdown.
or something, because that guy had 7 catches. No one else had more than 2 catches.
He had more catches than yards against us than he had his entire season at Arizona State.
Just like design pathways. I mean, I guess they were, but here's the thing: a lot of these were like broken down coverages to where the quarterback's running for their life. And honestly, I will give a little bit of slack to the defensive backs, because it is people don't understand, it's very, very tough for defensive backs to essentially guard a player for an extended amount of time, especially when the play's breaking down and the receivers ad-libbing, because a lot of the times the defensive back doesn't know that the quarterback is scrambling out.
Right.
And like the one where Travis was scrolling to the left, and I think it was Brownlee wasn't even looking toward the ball, and the receiver kind of came back to it. A lot of these weren't even good passes. It was like, oh wow, okay.
I'm gonna throw it up to let my
but then again, that also doesn't excuse the fact that you can't excuse it. But it does cut a little slack, because I mean, people don't understand. Playing defensive back is probably one of the hardest positions to play in football.
Sure.
Not the most difficult position to play.
But
it doesn't make it right. But
I feel like either you take him off of Wilson, or you shade the coverage over. Last second, put a safety on the top. You tell him, hey, Brownlee, you cover everything short, everything underneath. Don't worry about the deep ball. Minkins is going to be there. Duncan is going to be there. Someone's going to be there over the top, just in case. And do it last minute, because a lot of times they were, like Dalton said, sometimes those passes were off schedule. He was running. He had to make a play. I understand that. But sometimes Coach Brown blitzed, so you knew you were speeding up the clock ahead. Then why not his first option is going to be Wilson? You at the last second or at some point in time, you double cover him and force someone else to make a play. That never happened. And I kind of wondered, why are you allowing one player to beat you over and over again? So other than that, that's why I was disappointed in the coaching staff. I felt like the defense made improvements. I still think that we start off way too slow in the first quarter.
Yeah.
We gave up 14 points in the first quarter. I think it was on 2 consecutive drives. If not, it probably was 2 of the 3.
Right. No, it's definitely that was definitely the case. And I agree with that, because listen, those 2 touchdowns, he had 2 incredible touchdown catches where he tiptoed in the corner of the end zone. They were both obvious. We should have known those were gimmick plays, per se, were the only thing that was going to happen. There was no situation that ball wasn't going to him. We should have put somebody. I mean, I've never coached a game in my life, but the first thing I thought when I saw them lining up there, I was like, call a timeout, put somebody taller. Even if it's somebody that's never, even if you're in the heat of the moment, you haven't prepped for this, and you're like, oh crap, give me the 6'5" wide receiver that don't get any clock. What do I do, coach? Just make sure you stay in front of them. Don't push them. Don't touch them. Just get your hands up in the air. Put your hands up in front of them. Everything should be good. And it didn't happen. That's the one thing. Offensively, I say that we made good adjustments. Defensively, we did not. Again,
I did not mind the offensive play calling in the first.
No, I didn't.
I thought it was solid. I mean, we decided to throw the ball, and Florida State couldn't stop it.
No,
and
the only
ball wise, hell, we averaged over 5 yards per carry. I mean, we're looking better. We're looking like the rushing team of last year that imposed their will, and against one of the best defensive lines that we will play all season long. So I think it was honestly just the penalties and the turnovers that decided to do
the only issue I have with the passing game is the constantly running routes short of the first down marker.
Yeah.
That's the only issue I have with it. Like, that's got to stop.
I had 2. We need to get Marshawn Ford more involved in this offense. And second, for the second game in a row, on 4th down, we've went for it on 4th down, and Malik has thrown it to the opposite shoulder of the guy, making him not be able to catch it and get the first. Yeah. We had an easy first down both games, and Malik threw it to behind Marshawn this game. I don't remember who the two. There was twice this game. Shawn, I'm sure you probably remember. I forgot Shawn was even on here. Hey, Shawn, what's up, man?
And it doesn't hurt that I think we lost Wiggins in the second quarter, and he never came back.
No, but Malik did something different. He started going to Braden Smith every time, which I really, that's probably FSU scouting report was like, he throws to Hudson every time. That's all we have to worry about. So, yeah, I mean, I liked what I saw offensively. Again, every game I've seen improvement on both sides of the ball. It may not be where I want them to be at this point. There may be things that need to be there are things that need to be tightened up, but absolutely. And Rito, you've mentioned this. A couple other people have mentioned this. The biggest failure by Brian Brown, other than finding a scheme to guard the big 6'7" guy, is Quincy Riley played lights out last week, and for some reason he wasn't out on the field. Brownlee was not, and Brownlee's a good player. I don't dislike him. Kendrick Duncan had a lot of bad body language on the field in the fourth quarter. It didn't really look like he was into it. And like, these games are grueling on you, both physically and mentally. So I do not blame them for that. Let's go to the chat line because it's been blowing up, and I've just been.
It's been kind of people just going back and forth with each other.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Wish we could have cheated the safety over. I'm not sure that would have helped because the safety was 5'6" himself. I'm joking.
Also, don't feel like, no knock on him. I felt like this is probably a game that Kendrick Duncan Jr. would like to have back.
Yeah. No, for sure. And here's what I will say in jest. They've gotten a couple more Louisville players on their team this year, so they're getting better. And we got a FSU guy on our team this year, and they were able to beat us at home. I'm just kidding.
I know y'all didn't see it, but after the game, about half of the Florida State, a good portion of them, close to half, eventually at one point in time came over to Brownlee on the side of the Louisville bench and came up to him, and he gave him a handshake or a hug, some kind of acknowledgement after the game. And I was like,
yeah, I think TJ got a picture of Brownlee sitting next to one of the Florida State players, like just sitting there, like being consoled by him and everything. Look, this game could have been way worse. If I was in my feels like most of Twitter has been all week, and I thought the team was as butthole as everybody else did, I would have thought that I should have expected a 21-point beatdown, but it wasn't. We held on. We had a chance to win. I know we didn't win, and at the end of the day, that's the results we want. I just don't know. After 6 games, though, we should be sitting at no worse than 3-3. Everybody is in fire, everybody mode. What changes would you make at midseason? Shawn, I'll let you address this one since I haven't came to you yet. But if we're sitting at 3-3, what do you do?
I don't know if you can do anything. I think what are you going to do at this point? The problem I've seen is that game last night than any game last year we lost. It was close. What is different? We moved the ball between the 20, right?
Right.
Put in the end zone. We had opportunities. We had so many. We had 2 turnovers that should have been scored. They had an intercept, and we didn't score on that. That can't.
Didn't we also fumble the ball at midfield too?
Yeah, and
twice.
But I think
Did we?
it was more on the referees. I think the play should have been whistled dead.
I do too. That one was the one on TV that you saw where the referee is starting the motion of it should have been blown dead.
Yeah.
And the referees, that's another thing. I don't know how these referees get paid to do that. And they've got a video system now. I don't know how there's not somebody in their ears saying, hey, don't just look for the ankle. Don't just look for the foot. Make sure that the referee's not. I mean, again, I've never refereed a game in my life, but I'm automatically going to check everything to make sure it's straight.
I don't think that's reviewable. The
reward
the forward progress is not reviewable. But the other problem I had is the play call where they fumbled in the red zone.
It's Shawn's connection. It's not your headphone.
I was sitting there watching on TV. And I'm sitting there, and you got wide receivers running, Malik looking around, going, "What's going on? What's going on?" Call a timeout there. They didn't call a timeout. Run down. They rushed the snap, and then
that has been Shawn, though. That's been one of his biggest criticisms is his decision making. And although it has gotten a lot better throughout his 16 years here, he still make that sideline interception shouldn't have happened. You're absolutely correct.
No,
he should have the broken play. Again, we don't know who was supposed to have the ball, so we don't know who's responsible for the fumble. But that was a situation
one change I would make.
where if you looked around and saw that things weren't the way they were supposed to be, you should have called a timeout.
Yeah, that play was doomed from the start. You had wide
The
receivers running everywhere.
The coaches around the field like yelling at guys, "Come over here, go there." If you're having to do that, it's called. I don't understand that. Like, but the one change I make is that Lance Taylor call more play, and maybe Bob McGriff take over the defensive play calling.
Gotcha.
That's the only
Okay.
change I could see.
Shawn, your connection is as spotty as your body count. Roderick Gibson says, truly believe the players have gotten better, but the unit stays the same. It's coaching. Okay, that's his opinion on that. Fabian says we should have saved the Wi-Fi money for Satterfield's buyout. Stop it. They watched this show, and you're going to get me in trouble because that was funny. Roderick said, in 3 games, I haven't seen any growth. It's just a continuation of last 3 years, but it's entertaining. Good game to watch, but we lost. Roderick, I'm a 10,000% disagree with you. I saw growth and improvement on from each game to each game so far. So I mean, but we don't have to agree. I've seen improvement. Sam saw an improvement. Dalton saw improvement. Red State says Sat should have been replaced last year, but everybody was ready to throw this year under the bus to get kids who could still decommit. We'll talk about that in a few because I do not really agree with that either. Really don't understand having expectations for a team that went 6-7 last year. Okay,
I do. I mean,
yeah,
the team returned like 17 to 18 starters.
Right.
Was a couple of bad quarters away from being 9-3, and
right.
it's year 4. I mean, if you don't have expectations, that's alarming.
Absolutely.
Like, what are we doing?
It was supposed to be more winnable than
Absolutely. And one thing I will say is because during the coach that will not be named, which I almost did.
Said that first.
Almost, or did I already say it?
Correct.
We weren't in a lot of games that he coached, not even close. One thing I will give Sat is that there has been probably at least 10 games that we've won that were close games that we normally wouldn't have. There's been 18 apparently that we've lost that were really close. We've not, other than a couple that are really, really, in the forefront of our head. There haven't been. If you go back and look, there's not been a whole lot of blowout losses under Satterfield. So I just don't Kyler Holt Riddle says, I just don't understand why you said Brownlee. It's the same guy over and over again. Why no adjustments? I don't know. I would have put Quincy Riley on him, gave him a shot. They Andrew Munn makes a great point. They know Brownlee. They practiced with him. They already knew he couldn't guard him.
Exactly.
Riley definitely should have played. Kyler says
he did play.
Quincy Riley played.
Yeah, he played. He had He had more than a few snaps.
I don't believe so.
It was he did.
I'm just saying. I talked to one of his relatives last night that said he didn't get to play.
No, he played. He's number 3, right?
I don't know everybody's numbers.
Yeah, he's number 3.
And they put Keytrell in the slot as the nickel, and Riley was playing on the boundary corner.
I'll explain this. There's like 72 people in the chat that said he didn't play. His mama said he didn't play. I think they would know
more than Quincy's mom.
Okay, fair enough. I mean, she was just heated on the airplane ride all the way back home. Red State says we have players, we have talent, we don't have a coaching staff. You could tell Hudson was upset. I felt bad for that kid, but Smith is really coming up big for sure. There was no way Sat didn't have someone that can match up better with Wilson. He just laid down and let him. Yeah, for sure. Wayne says, I love my Cards, but it's definitely time to move on from Coach Sat at the end of the season. Our AD should be preparing now for the change. Y'all think we have unlimited. Let me tell y'all this right now. it would absolutely not surprise me, no matter if we went 0 whatever to finish the season, if we went undefeated to finish the season, regardless of circumstance, I think Sat's going to be here to the end of the season. It was very vehemently expressed to me that we do not have the buyout money for him unless Shawn wants to go pay his bill. We don't just have that money laying around.
So he played 2 snaps.
He had 2 tackles.
Average Honky says, I think most people were frustrated because it looked like we should have won by 2 scores. Absolutely. Kyler says fumbles really hurt. Red State says Malik has to learn how to actually hand off the ball. Yeah, for sure. If you don't fumble those 2 possessions, I think Louisville wins. Hey, I'm going to go out, and this ain't necessarily a hot take, but a bold prediction. I think if Jordan Travis never gets hurt, we win that football game. I think this was just a situation where it was the backup guy trying to make a splash. He was throwing it up to the 8-footer, and yeah, pitch and catch. Anthony Easton says, I've seen improvement game by game this year, especially shout out to the offensive line this game, man. That's the reason why we scored as many points as we did. Tremendous. Get up 2 scores on somebody when you're in control. Yeah. Robin says Riley did play, but not much. I guess maybe what his people were asking, and probably even the people in this chat were talking about, was the fact that he wasn't in there in clutch time, and he didn't really play too much at all. I'll find out afterward how many plays he played, but we'll see. Wes Mitchell says, I've seen plenty of improvement, but the coaching staff won't make adjustments. I thought Ben Perry played well. Anthony Easton says, I do too. Andrew Mudd says, good news is we should get Curtis Williams tomorrow for sure. Fabian says, don't have money for buyout, but $5 million for Wi-Fi. Look, that's something that was in the works for a long time, though. So that wasn't something where we can just be like, hey, and the Wi-Fi there sucked, and apparently it's amazing now. So it is what it is.
Worse.
Absolutely. And I think that people just and I love y'all, and I appreciate y'all. But I think at the end of the day, some people forget that we just can't keep like paying buyouts every 3 years. Like,
you know what? I'll do it. Let me just take the
it?
money out of my bank account, and I'll bite the bullet.
Okay. Well, you know what? Dalton Pence for president. He's gonna.
He got a new name for stadium.
Pence Cardinal.
I couldn't hear you, Shawn. You're speaking through a paper bag.
So make sure y'all head out to All American Pool and Supply Company Stadium, Cardinal Stadium this weekend. Let's see, is the comment okay? And look, Kevin, I get it. That press conference was painful to listen to, but I think he was trying to make light of the situation. They were like, and what was the kid's name? The tall kid,
Something Wilson.
Johnny
Wilson.
Johnny Wilson. Yeah.
The reporter asked, why couldn't you guard Wilson? And so I was like, Wilson, is that the big kid? Like is that the big tall kid? Yeah. Well, that's why, because he was 8 feet tall.
It didn't come off that way though to everyone.
I know, but see, that's the thing. That's what I'm talking about. Like, you can tell absolutely there are, depending upon age, the responses to everything are completely different. A lot of people freak out, like to Dalton, that didn't come off as a joke. To me, it absolutely did.
There was people your age though on Twitter that's how I saw it.
What do you mean my age? I'm just kidding. But yeah, we just paid off Mac. We're still paying on Petrino. We just don't have the money. Average Honky, I love that name. Wi-Fi is pretty good. First time they've been able to use their phone there in 4 years. Kyler says, I see so much potential, but the staff just makes too many mistakes and refuses to make adjustments. I agree with that. I would even venture to say if any changes are made during the season, it'll be the DC position that will be remedied in season. I don't think, and look, I could be wrong. I'm not Jerem Stradamus over here. I don't predict everything correctly, but I do believe as long as we're floating around that 4-5-6 win territory, that Sat's going to survive this. The only thing I think that would be instant termination would be a loss to James Madison.
What happens if they lose to South Florida? Do you think? I'm not saying does Sat get fired, but are there any changes if you lose to South Florida? I mean, are there any?
Depends on how they look.
Yeah.
I don't even know that. I mean, I feel like South Florida's not a good team. I mean, I don't care if you lose by 1 or if you lose by 51. I mean, I guess that does make a difference, but still lose to South Florida and you're 1-3, and you lose to 3 teams that you were arguably supposed to beat, and you can't beat South Florida.
No,
Look, from a fan standpoint,
hypothetical.
Look, no, I get it. I love that question because from a fan standpoint, it's absolutely changes have to be made. But at the end of the day, it's all about the money. It's the money we don't have to make a change like that just yet. We have really kind of kicked ourselves in the butt.
So, real quick here about Dalton's question. Let's say Louisville does lose 40-42, and it was in the situation where the last team that had the ball won the game. And it was, let's say we didn't have any turnovers. It wasn't a bunch of penalties. It was just a really, really good game. And just one team had to lose. And we've been in some of those situations before. Do you still feel like something has to change? Or it was like, 9 out of 10 times Louisville wins that game. It was just this one time they wouldn't.
I mean, if this was year 2, I'd be I mean, it's not ideal, but it's year 4 to where literally the number one point of emphasis this offseason was finish results.
Okay.
It was, we need to finish. And now it's like, we didn't finish. And it's, you can't, I mean,
fair point.
Even last year, I mean, you could make the argument. I mean, Jeremy and I talked about this all in December, that you have to give a guy a set amount of time to be successful in a certain program. We got to get out of these, he's going to fully rebuild a team in 2 years. That's sometimes not necessarily, plausible, but it's year 4. I mean, you have so many guys returning. There are no fallbacks here. Like, there's nothing you can fall back on. If it's, you play some decent teams, South Florida.
With Jeremy's question about the changes made, if we 3,
I don't think you can make a change, like you said, financially speaking, but
changes or adjustments. I can't remember which one you used.
I said changes.
My only change is one of my favorite movies. Any Given Sunday. LL Cool J says, "How much you paying that offensive line to block? Let him block." My thing about that is, you bring in all of these players on the defensive side, transfers and things like that, who predominantly played man to man and bump man for that. Now you bring them here to play 7, 8, 10 yards off the line of scrimmage. Don't do that. Stop doing that. DB is one of the toughest positions to play, yes. And a lot of them are good because they used to play in bump man. Mix it up. Let them play more man coverage and let them get up in the face of these wide receivers, challenge them so that the quarterback doesn't have these easy 5-6 yard slants, 5-6 yard throws and things like that. So that would be my only adjustment, because I think the defense is good. We have the defensive line and the linebackers that can get home. And he's shown the ability to call up some pretty good blitzes. So with that being the case, play more bump man, play more aggressive on the outside, and force these quarterbacks to make throws through tight windows and see if anything happens. That'll be my adjustment or change.
Absolutely. So, yeah, I know the fans are going to be, like they said, we have to, it's going to get ugly. Let's see. He's past making light of jokes. He is getting paid to do a job he isn't doing. I don't know. Winning 7 out of 20 conference games just isn't getting it done. Start a GoFundMe to get a real coach. Says the Red State, not Jeremy or any of Cardinal Sports Zone on the air. Rito says Brian Brown gone. That would be the change that I would have to make. Let Lance run the team, says Andrew Mudd. Rito brings up a good. He asks a very uncomfortable question here. Is it true they only kept Brian Brown last year because he's a brother? So, whereas I cannot confirm nor deny that, what I can
even go there, but okay.
You don't think we should even address it at all?
No,
I don't think that's
no.
I mean, okay, your question is not a bad question. It's just not something that we're gonna address on the air. But I
just don't think it's something that you speculate about. I mean,
yes, that's a character thing right there.
Well, and also, but it's different when you have inside information and it's not speculation, but it's not something that I want to talk about on the air. We'll speak about it privately or off
I will
the air.
say I think that they kept Brian Brown because, being a kind of a younger defensive coordinator, trying to, sometimes you have to kind of switch some schemes up. You see what works and what doesn't at the Power 5 level. They kind of brought in Wesley McGriff to be almost like that mentor level figure to try to almost like, almost like show him the ropes. It's like, okay, it's either fire Brian Brown or bring in a co-defensive coordinator with a lot of experience to try to, mold him into being a solid defensive coordinator. And, it was one of two options. And obviously this is a guy that he's been on the ride with since the App State days. So there's no surprise that Sat is backing his guy. Of course, when it comes down to should we fire him or not? Well, of course not. I mean, that's his friend. And I mean, I think that you exhaust all options before you do that. You make the firing, and that's probably what Sat's mentality is.
If I'm not mistaken, after his first year, wasn't he on those 30 coaches under 30 or coordinators 30?
Yeah, after the first season, yes.
Yeah. Okay. So I mean, obviously he has the mind for it.
Or he just had a lot of NFL talent on the roster that year that was making him look better than he actually was.
True statement. But the same could be said on the offensive end. But hey, whatever. But go ahead.
Well, and I also saw the offense fall majorly after that first season. So I will and with McGriff, I think I don't know whether I like him or dislike him because I don't know what he's doing. But talking to other former coaches that have worked with Brian Brown, he's got a one-track mind. He's not really that willing to listen to other people's input, and stuff like that. And McGriff, again, I don't know him, never met him, but if you look at his resume, he's been at like 6 schools for 1 year. Like he never makes anywhere past 1 year. He's been fired. Not he's left. He's been fired from every job he's had on the collegiate level, but he's here right now. And again, that doesn't make him a bad person to me. I don't know what his input is. I don't know what his involvement is. Wayne Autry says it would never happen, but prime time would be amazing. Look, I'm just waiting for the first person to say John Gruden, like they used to. Maybe we find or Jay Gruden.
Already mentioned Urban Meyer.
He's not leaving Fox. Carrito says lose to USF. Louisville Twitter will be off the hinges. Yeah, I won't be on. Luckily, I'll be on vacation next week, so I'm not going to. I'm going to log out of Twitter. Those that have my phone number can text me and talk to me. I'm not going to feed into any of that insanity. I don't think that's going to happen. Babu says if Sat calls all the plays anyway, why not have an OC and pay a top flight? Why not have no OC and pay a top flight DB major bucks? I don't disagree with that. We already don't have a special teams coach. Did y'all know that?
I do because you told me a couple days ago.
Yeah. That's right. Okay. Fair enough. Average honky.
Who was the special teams coach last year?
Was it Stu Holt?
Yeah, I was going to say, wasn't it Stu Holt?
I think so. Average honky. I'm just going to keep saying his name over and over again. I don't know if we fire Sat after the season, even if we win only 5 games. I do think there will be a move at DC. Every quarterback we play looks like a Heisman CW. I can't disagree with that. Do you think this? And I'm going to put your question up on the board, Red State, because I'm going to address that in a minute. Okay, sorry for the question, guy. No, not a bad question. I'll hit you up afterwards.
It's a legit question. I thought you were talking about Red State.
I'm not on Twitter, so I don't have to hear it. You're a lucky person. I think it's fire Brian Brown at this point. I don't think this guy will change. Brian has to go. Can I get that number? Says Kevin Lloyd. Crazy. Shawn, where are you at?
Red State's asking the question everyone wants to know.
Red State is?
Mm-hmm. Do you think this recruiting class will stay together?
Absolutely. And I've got that up on the board. So, do you think this recruiting class will stay together and come here if we win 3 or 4 games this season? Look, if things are shaking down the way I've been told, the kids that have committed to Louisville have agreed. You'd be stupid to think they've not already agreed to an NIL agreement. And they may not have signed it. But with that, I would think comes a commitment like, hey, we're going to give you X amount of dollars if you come to Louisville, but you have to at least stay for 1 year. I don't know. I've never seen an NIL agreement. I don't know if a time frame comes with it. I will tell you this. These kids didn't come down here to Louisville. They did not commit to Golly G. Willikers, Scott Satterfield. They committed because of the money. They committed because of the opportunity. In my opinion, I think that our win-loss record has Scott Satterfield being here has 0 to do whether this recruiting class holds together or not. I think they're here. Again, these are kids. They may change their minds. They may be able to. They may not be able to. they may have already signed something that said, I'm coming to Louisville for next year to make this amount of money.
One case, you get a kid who has a tattoo of the Louisville sign already, I think, right?
What's that?
Doesn't one of the
Ruben Owens does.
yeah has the Louisville tattoo already?
There you go.
So,
Can I ask you this?
Yeah.
I think this is a very valid question. I've seen a lot of kind of traction on social media. And like I said, I don't necessarily play a lot into conspiracy theories. I just kind of do my own thing. How much, if at all, do you think that Steve Clarkson has any type of, I wouldn't necessarily say pull here, but does he have any type of what's the word I'm looking for? Influence? Would that matter at all?
I think Steve Clarkson's got more pull than Shawn on a Saturday night. Let me say that.
So
just a little bit.
So okay. So what are we? What's the actual?
What's the barometer here? Like,
What are we? Shawn, what'd you do last night?
I think
The PG show.
I think barring a disastrous season, I think most of these kids will stay committed, because if they look at it this way, if you, God forbid, we lose, we win 3 or 4 games, that just lets you know, hey, as a quarterback, I have the opportunity to start. As a wide receiver, hey, there's a spot for me to start here. As a DB, some of the DBs will already be gone, or if they wasn't good enough last year, I have the opportunity to slide right into that starting spot as a freshman. And that's how I think a lot of these kids are going to look at it, is if this team is continuously struggling, it just gives my opportunity for playing as a freshman that much better.
Have you ever, I'm going to ask both of y'all, even though I know Dalton's only like 4. Have y'all ever in your lifetime seen a Louisville team that during a bad year that's won 3 or 4 games and the fans still want them fired? I feel like if we get to 4-2 or 5-2, fans are going to be like, I don't care, I still want them gone. Have you ever seen that situation? Do you remember Steve Craig? And that's not a joke.
Dude, actually, the very first year that I started to pay attention to Louisville football was Michael Bush's breakout season in 2005. The year before.
Don't say Michael Bush and break in the same sentence. We don't do that.
I blocked that from my memory, so I don't know what you're talking about.
Fair enough.
So yeah, Steve Cragthorpe was like the very where I started to truly understand football. And I was like, Dad, are we supposed to be this bad? He was like, strangely enough, no, we're not. And I was like, no. So I don't know. I don't necessarily know that there's been like an instance in my lifetime to where this certain situation has been here. But so you're year 4 of a certain coach. You go 4-2, 5-2. I'd probably say 4-2. It is what it is, but it'd be a lot different if our last 6 games, 5 of the 6 teams weren't ranked teams. That's the issue there. So I think if you would have flip-flopped it and we go, let's say we go 3-3, you flip the schedules.
Mm-hmm.
I think people are like, okay, we're looking really good in the season. It's a lot different from last year to where we went 4-2. I'm like, okay, there's some tough games, but you still got Syracuse and you've got Duke at the end of the year. You have James Madison, and that's pretty much it. You're going to have to pull out an upset in one of the other 5 games to even get to bowl eligibility, assuming you do handle business.
So to answer your question, I'm going to let y'all in on a little secret.
Uh-oh.
Okay.
Everybody else, those of y'all out there listening to us right now, hold y'all's ears.
No, it's not that type of secret.
Oh, okay. Now open them back up.
So, I'm probably one of the few people that when Bobby Petrino was here and winning 2 games, I was probably one of the few people that said, bring him back. And until I started to realize that he wasn't really recruiting and the player treatment, that's when I realized, okay, yeah, we do have to let him go. But based on the stuff that was going on the field, I didn't like it at all. It was ugly. And I felt like he had enough clout or I guess chips to be like, you know what, give him 1 more year, bring him back, because people forget like he lost his dad at the beginning of the season. Things was going a little bit too fast for him, things like that. So I'm one of those people that didn't feel like Bobby Petrino should have been fired based on what was going on the field until I heard all the other stuff. So
yeah, and let's not pretend that like we forgot that he didn't get along with any of his coordinators. Even when he was winning, he couldn't keep a defensive coordinator to save his life. But what I will do now that I didn't do then was show a little bit of understanding, because losing your father is a huge deal. It affects you every day. Even as strong of a person as I am, who scoffs when the girls are like, "I'm having a bad day. What's wrong?" Well, the girl didn't like my shirt. Shut. Kids are so sensitive these days. So this is coming from somebody that's very, very strong mentally. There were times when after Dad passed away, it's only been 2 months, almost 3, where I was like, I don't want to do the podcast no more. I don't want to do CSZ. And then I realized when I got on here to do the podcast, it made me happy. It opened me up. It gave me something to look forward to. Giggity. So I can't imagine running a Division I football program and having to go through all that, all the grieving. I will give him a pass for that. I won't give him a pass for being a motorcycle wheeling, volleyball hanging out or son of a gun. I will say this, very good to me, very nice to me when he was here as an offensive coordinator. Won games like a mofo when he was here in the first inning as the head coach, even though he tried to go to Auburn, LSU, the Raiders, everywhere. But he wasn't getting along with the kids. The kids weren't getting along with him and the dad thing. Like I will give him a pass for that. I'm definitely not. I saw people say Bobby 3.0 last night. That's a Bobby 3.0 for me.
Did you look on your Twitter account when you said Bobby 3.0?
Yeah, right.
That's why I said I was in favor of bringing him back one more year, because I felt like he didn't have the chance to do what he needed to grieve properly. But then after all of the stuff that you hear what was going on off the field and things like that, then it's like, you know what?
I mean, Vince Tyree had to go on JJ Weaver's official visit because the coach didn't.
Yeah, so then that's when I said, you know what? Go ahead, let him go, things like that, because you could suffer and struggle on the field, but you still got to do your duties off the field. And
duties.
He recruited the hell out of skill positions. The man's offensive and defensive lines, though, was like, okay, we're just gonna have Des Fitzpatrick.
Didn't one year we had like 12 wide receivers and 12 DBs?
And we had like 10 offensive linemen, or not? No, like
one of our best
8
linebackers
offensive linemen. It was
safety
like, okay.
And shout out to him. He put on a heck of a show last night at Arkansas. But yeah,
he's still.
Which that's why it's frustrating, because he's such a brilliant offensive line, to where if he just gave a damn about recruiting, we wouldn't be in the position we're in right now.
No,
I honestly we'll go off the record after this show.
Okay.
A certain firing probably put him over the edge, but
I will never forget watching the Bobby Petrino coach's show that Saturday or Sunday morning. And about halfway through the show, he's talking about what he's going to do to game prep for Wake Forest or whoever it was. And at the bottom of the screen, the ticker comes on and is like, Bobby Petrino has been relieved of his responsibilities as Louisville football's head coach.
The next thing was, well, coach, if you were kept, what would have been your idea?
What would have? And
what would you have done?
Let's get back really quick, because we are going to talk about South Florida just a little bit to go to rapid fire. We got a bunch as far as that's concerned. We get to talking to y'all. Y'all get to talking to us, and we love it, and we just want to keep going and going with y'all. Red State says maybe Adidas could help buy Sat out. A good coach would be better for moving their products. Anthony Easton says here's a conspiracy theory. Steve Clarkson is our next head coach. Stop. At the end of year 3, you know what direction your program is heading, Red State. I love you. I don't agree with that wholeheartedly, because I think it takes a little bit longer. I know I went through a coaching change in both high school, and the guy that recruited me to Louisville wasn't the guy that was there when I got there. So just watching the struggles that the players that have been there before, I don't necessarily wholeheartedly agree that. Kyler says, I truly believe all the recruits all realize they can make a difference here and could totally change the trajectory of this program, all while making NIL money. Absolutely. My only worry is in the NIL era, that let's say that Pierce Clarkson comes and absolutely balls out and dominates, or the receiver Moore or Reuben Owens, and then Texas comes and offers double his NIL money to come there. I think we're going to see a lot of turnover roster-wise because of NIL. That's what I'm scared about. Kevin Lloyd said he lost his dad when he was 19. It took a decade. I'm sorry for your loss. I know it's been a while, but yeah, it's tough, man. I'm just so fortunate and glad I was able to spend the last 10 months with him, taking care of him every day, spending time with him at the hospital, seeing everything that I wanted to get off my chest, and him telling me he was proud of me, man. That was just the cherry on the top of the sundae. I think that's probably why I've not been as sad as most people expect me to be. Plus, I get to watch goofy videos of him every day on my phone. CW says Sat is wishing he was back at App State. Maybe so.
Maybe we took the wrong coach from App State.
Stop it. Maybe.
It's been another episode of the Cardinal Sports.
Hold on. Where's it at? All right. Until next time, it's been the Card. I'm just kidding. Turn it off. But no. Let's hop into the USF because it's our. We will give our predictions too at the end of this. Just because, as I said, I'll be watching the game on my phone on the way down to vacation. My wife is evil and planned us for a Saturday to Saturday vacation, Saturday to Sunday. So we'll be coming back the next Sunday. So I'll catch next week's game and then be in a long car ride home the next day. Let me set the table. USF averaging 31 points per game, but they give up 35 points per game. They're averaging about 200 yards passing, 150 on the ground. They committed in their first two games. They committed 2 turnovers and forced 4. I'm not really sure how many they committed and forced last night. That's the only stat I forgot to update. The defensive is allowing 500 yards per game, 255 through the air, 240 on the ground, which makes it seem like a balanced offense per se. Prediction, Shawn, I'm gonna let you go first, only because we're having the most trouble hearing you, and your voice is trash right now.
Shawn said.
Prediction is going to be
Oh my gosh, he does.
28. 35-28 Louisville. I think we're going to be able to run the ball. But I think they run because they won't realize last night Florida State started gashing us in the second half running the ball. That worries me a little bit.
I thought our rushing defense was great.
They end up with over 150 yards, didn't they?
They were averaging like 300.
Yeah, I think we're going to give us some points still, but I think we get that 35-point mark. I can't pick anything over 40 right now because I don't know with just the mental mistakes that I saw last night if that's going to improve. If you still have mental mistakes, do that. You can get more, but I still say 35-28 cards.
So Florida State was averaging about 400 yards rushing per game. They hit 180 against us, which would be about 90 per half. Dalton?
I mean, I think that this is a game to where I think Louisville should overpower South Florida. In the event that this gets into a shootout, I think that bodes well for Louisville. And in the event that this game is a kind of a low-scoring affair, I still think that this bodes well for Louisville. Look, this should be perhaps the second easiest game on the schedule. Obviously, I couldn't see how this could come back and bite me in the butt, but regardless, I think that despite the fact that South Florida is solid, rushing the football, I think that they are going to have to really, really put up a ton of points in this game. I'm going to go Louisville. Let's go 31 to 17. I think that Louisville could probably score more, but I'm factoring in obviously the turnovers and the penalties, which we haven't showed to hold on the football that well. So I'm trying to factor that into it. So 31-17 cards.
Okay, Sam.
So after last week, I was thinking of putting up a 50 points because I don't think we've scored 50 points once since Satterfield's been here. I was thinking this was going to be our first 50-point game, and then after what I seen on Friday, I'm dialing that back now. So I think
we scored a good amount of points.
I know, but I was just saying like South Russia.
Okay,
we put up.
Okay, points, fair enough.
But after what I've seen Friday night, and then I think I'm gonna go with a similar score to Dalton. I'll probably go around 35-20 Louisville, because it could be closer than that because they do run more of a read option where their quarterback runs a runs a lot. But the thing that frightens me is they have one main receiver, and I'm drawing a blank on his name already, Weaver. And we've seen what a one receiver could do to Louisville year in and year out. When you look at T.Y. Hilton and then of course Wilson. So hopefully we find a way to shut down that one main receiver and slow down the quarterback run, and Louisville comes away with a 35-20 victory.
Okay, I'm just doing a little research really quick while we're speaking. I'm gonna say first off, I think that we do really well against read option quarterbacks. I think we're going to take the next step by progressing as much. I'm going 48-17. I think the defense continues to improve, the offense continues to improve. But just to get back to your thoughts, Sam, we scored 48 against FSU. We beat them 48-16. Here under Sat, we scored 62 points last year versus Duke.
Okay, so we did score 51 once.
Well, so far once we've scored in the high 40s. I'm all the way back to 2020. I got one more year to look at, but we've been in the 40 to 50 range a bunch.
I know we've been in the 40-point range. I just didn't think we scored more than 50. That's why.
Right. So we have once 40. No, we beat Wake Forest 62-59 in that overtime thriller.
Yeah.
So there's two 50-point. I'm sorry, two 60-point games. Still no 50-point game. 34. No, Syracuse. His first year we beat 56-34.
So we had 3.
So 3.
So one a year.
Yeah, about one a year. So
So this should have been the
James Madison, or this one's going to be the big one this year. But yeah, CW says South Florida can run the ball, absolutely. But I think that the talent gap there is going to be too much. That's why I said 48-17. I just think that my mindset behind that score is that we keep improving as much every week as we did the week before. Now, obviously, if we play a similar game as we did to Florida State, I think it's a lot closer. Anthony Easton, I have no idea who's coaching at Oregon State, but that's how my predictions are going. And we already asked about that. What does our record have to be? Oh no, we didn't. We're only going to mildly touch on this because I've seen people give lists. I'm not at list time yet. I don't think a list for a new head coach is going to be applicable anytime soon. But Shawn, we'll go to you first again on this, only because your Wi-Fi sucks. Sorry, not sorry. What does our record have to be in order for us to make the big change, if at all? Because I'm personally beyond the belief that there's outside of us losing the next 6 in a row, then losing to James Madison. I don't think anything can be done to warrant us giving him $3 million extra just for not doing the job he was hired to do. So for you, what is your threshold?
I mean, my threshold would be 5-7, but I'd be willing to.
No. At what point during the season? I'm asking. At what point during the season?
During the season? Oh no. You can't. No, you got to keep him through the season.
Okay, so you don't think there's anything? Not even losing 6 straight and James Madison.
Is if he loses to James Madison, and he just only the 50 games are left. That'd be the only way.
Because I still believe that 5 wins is enough to keep him around one more season. Fortunately or unfortunately, however you look at it. Sam, do you think there's a point during the season that we fire Sat, or do you think he's safe for the rest of the year?
He's safe all year round. I don't care. The only thing I feel like he might be on the extremely hot seat is if we go 2 wins the whole year. And even then, I think because of the recruiting class, it'll buy him one more year. But if he goes 1 win, then I think we start to really fire him.
Let me pose this.
Okay.
What happens if we go 2-10, 3-9, maybe 4-8? We lose a lot after this year. Granted, you can make a lot of that back in the transfer portal.
Right.
But next year's team, a lot of people understand, yeah, we're going to have a lot of talent, young talent, but we're going to be very, very young and inexperienced. How many more years are we willing to put up with that? I mean, does it reset the hot seat just because you give these guys, okay, so you're one of Pierce Clarkson, they go 4-8 that year, and then we're in year 6 of Scott Satterfield. You see where it kind of gets to be like a slippery slope. At what point do we put our foot down and actually, okay, you've got to do this now, or so on and so. I'm not saying you're wrong anyway. I'm just posing a hypothetical because next year, we're not necessarily going to expect it to be a very solid team because we're going to be very young.
Yeah, because nobody knows who even the starting quarterback's going to be next year.
Exactly. So to answer your question, personally, if I was in Josh Hurd's position, I would not fire him this year.
Okay.
Next year, when you do, let's say Caleb Johnson or
Pierce
Clarkson starts. It depends on how your team looks. If they look competitive, bless you, they look competitive and they don't look completely lost, then I think because of the transfer market, it could hurt you and it could help you. Because of the transfer market, you can bring in an experienced wide receiver or a really good DB or some linebackers.
I get that, but we're going to be losing about. I mean, you could lose probably about 14, 15 starters from this year.
Right. But you could also gain some really good ones. So it all depends on how your freshmen that you bank so much on, how they look and what you can do in the transfer market. And they'll let me know, okay, I'll give you a 6-year. But if you can't do that, 5 and you're done.
My biggest fear, and I agree with that. My biggest fear, and I don't want to get too far off track. My biggest fear is that we get into year 6 of Scott Satterfield, Pierce's sophomore season, and we're still kind of in the same boat to where Pierce might look good and the team might look good, but we're still having these same issues. And then you have to bring a new coach in, and then we're kind of wasting Pierce Clarkson's tenure. Like, that's the last thing I want to do. Like, if we know that it's not going to be, a lot of it depends on this season. Like, I think that for me, threshold is like Jeremy said. I think it's probably gonna be at the end of the season, unless you just go on this Bobby Petrino-esque losing streak to where you're betting against Louisville every week because you know it's gonna hit.
Yeah, and I agree with that. I just don't know. And then Sam brings up a great point. Like, does Bobby have a longer leash because they're gonna say, hey, Pierce is just getting here. Who did I say?
You said Bobby. You mean Satterfield?
No, I meant Josh Hurd. So I didn't mean to make. Does Josh give him a longer leash because you got year 1 of all these guys? As much as I hate to see this, look what sitting through 2-10 and 4-8 seasons with Mark Poops did for the team down the road. Like they went through this exact same thing that we're going through. Only we're not used to it, and they've been used to it for like 50 years. That's my fear. My fear is that Josh lengthens the rope there and is like, or let's go the leash, or however you put it, and says, you know what, I'll give you another year with Clarkson to see how that, because that's the one one of my top 2 criticisms about Coach Stat is that he's not recruiting any quarterbacks. It's been Malik. He missed out on who's
Shador.
Chubba Purdy. Who's the kid from Mississippi State?
Garrett Schrader.
No. The one that came here and left after a couple of days.
No, I forgot about him. No,
Schrader was the guy from Mississippi State.
McCaffrey. You're talking about McCaffrey. Is Schrader the one that got punched in the eye? There was a quarter.
I thought that was McCaffrey.
I thought that was McCaffrey.
No,
that was
the one that was here
McCaffrey,
for 2 or 3 practices and
Was
left.
it quarterback?
Yeah.
All right, I'm gonna head out.
Okay, so there was another one. Yes, that got yes. Okay.
So and we thought Khalib Johnson was gonna be good, but I haven't even seen him on a depth chart. And I don't.
When I saw him in practice, that young man could really throw the.
That's what I hoped.
He can really throw it and he can place it.
Okay.
I guess it's just you can't put him over Malik though. I don't think you can do that right now. That's my only thing about it.
Absolutely. And I know that the other kid, who's the other quarterback? He's the one that won the 62-59 game. I don't know. Evan Conley. I know he's still somewhat injured from what I've been told, so he's not going to come in. Like, we are literally screwed. And if Malik, never mind. I'm not going to say it. I'm not putting that out in the universe.
watching the Florida State game, right? I thought, my goodness, this backup quarterback looks good. I'm like, I wonder if anyone fears Louisville's backup quarterbacks.
No.
That's what
No.
I mean, I forgot about somebody. One of the texters just brought up Brock Doman, and
that's the backup right there.
he's the backup, right?
Is he any good? Well, we don't know. He got what?
Very limited action, and very, I believe, if I remember correctly, it was pretty tough situations on the field. Like we were backed up to our own 10, or I don't think he was able to get a fair shot. So I don't know.
And the only reason why I said that was because
I
of what happened at
don't even
Florida
think he
State.
played
And then
last
it made me think
year.
back to the Boy Vitrino days when you had Brian Brom as your backup, Hunter Cantwell as your backup. Then when we had Lamar, we had
Bolin,
Teddy,
you had Reggie, you had-
Bolin. Then we had
we
Poma
beat
as a
Kentucky
backup.
1 year with our
But-
third string
So
with
it
Kyle
was
Bolin.
like
Yeah.
we always had good backup quarterbacks that was able to put a little bit of pressure on our starting quarterbacks.
I mean,
don't
we
feel
even
like
had
we that
Teddy's
point.
year. We had Will Gardner backing him
Yes.
up, and then somebody else, but I
think
can't
we
remember right
had
now.
Yeah, it was Will Gardner. Yeah.
Yeah, we don't have any pressure. Like, I mean, Malik could throw 5 interceptions next game, and he's still comfortably probably the starting quarterback. I mean,
And that could be part of the issue too. He's too comfortable, knows he can do what he wants. Andrew Mudd says, I don't think we lose the recruits, but I'm willing to lose them to lose him. My God, that's a scorching hot take there. Red State says, I was there last year, but I agree. Anthony, they're good, but they're going to have to hit the portal hard for experienced quarterback. I agree too. But I also think that Pierce, I talked to Steve Clarkson I'm just kidding. Yeah, I'm just doing my little bit there. I did talk to him, but I'm not going to divulge the information I heard from him. But I think Pierce is going to come in here and flat out like, hey, Trevor, nice to join the show as it's ending. I think that he's going to come and he's going to come to Louisville and immediately perform, give us some results on the field. So Trevor says no quarterback competition makes Malik too relaxed. Maybe not. I don't know. Let's get to the rapid fire really quick so these guys can get home and I can watch my Steelers on the TV. Volleyball beat number 13 and number 9 Stanford this week. I don't say that name. Number 10 men's soccer lost to number 7 Duke, but played BC to a draw. Women's soccer moved to 4-1-2 on the season with a 1-0 victory over Miami. Higgy didn't tell me whether it was Ohio or Florida. You're fired. Kiana Smith of women's basketball was taken with the top pick of the Korean League draft. Congratulations, Kiana. The women's basketball ACC schedule was announced this week. Starts on the road. I sent you the email. You never check my email, Sam. Starts on the road December 18th at Pittsburgh. Versus Pittsburgh, and ends with Notre Dame at home February the 26th.
Unread emails.
Yeah. Men's basketball, the entire schedule was, and the funny thing about that, I had somebody hit me up the day before. I was like, when's the men's basketball schedule coming out? I was like, should be any day now. I looked up, we had posted it like on the 18th last year. I was like, should be any day. And of course, it did come out. Maryland, which we know how Joey feels about Maryland, come to the Yum Center on November. As Higgy typed this, I swear on everything. They come to the Yum Center on November 29th and open ACC play on December 4th with Miami and end with a road trip to Virginia.
for November 29th. That's a good day.
Is it?
November 29th.
November 29th. And we end with that road trip to Virginia on March the 4th. Yuck. Softball started fall practice on Friday. Baseball is playing fall scrimmage games right now against Cincinnati. Me and Dalton will have at some point this week, fingers crossed, that interview for you all with Isaiah Miranda.
Do we have to stay up that late again?
My God, I hope not. I did get word from him late last night that he didn't have anything to do today. So we're going to get that done today after having the difficulties we had with the first one. And last but not least, I do want to send my most heartfelt feelings, thoughts, condolences, however you want to put it, to a colleague of ours, Nick Coffey, who tragically lost his 3-year-old nephew on Friday. No, it was his nephew.
What's that? I thought it was his niece.
No, it was his nephew.
Oh, okay.
No,
Regardless,
On
Friday.
still very tragic loss.
On Friday, I don't know the details. I didn't ask him. I it really doesn't matter at the end of the day. But our thoughts, prayers, condolences, love out to him and his family. Trust, I can't even imagine how it would be to lose somebody that young. But I know it's got to be pretty tough, and our thoughts are with you. We'll end the regular show on that. Shout out to all of our fine sponsors: Fitness Market, Shack in the Back Barbecue, Four Pegs Smokehouse and Bar, Derby City Lawn and Landscaping, and we're working on a few more. Trying to get a hold of my people at All American Pool and Supply Company, but they won't text me back. If you want to sponsor the podcast, I'm working on a couple of big ones that I'm very excited about. All you have to do is hit us up individually at any of our social medias. We'll get back to you. You can find our social medias at the bottom. The Twitter, the Facebook, the Instagram are all down there at the bottom. The YouTube one's a little different. It's the same as it shows on the bottom, only add a 5 for now. I'm talking to customer support in the morning to try to get our YouTube page fixed from the hacking. But that's how you can do it. Hit the like button, hit follow, hit subscribe, make it Facebook official. Tell your mama, whatever you got to do. You can find this show on all the podcast avenues: Apple, iTunes, Buzzsprout, Spotify, Stitcher, TuneIn, Google, Amazon, and iHeart, to name a few. Again, hit follow, subscribe, stalk. I don't know what it says on those other ones. Just follow us, and then that way, when we do have a change like this, you don't have to ask us, why didn't you know the show was coming on? Because it'll still send y'all the notifications if you're subscribed to it. If you haven't listened to all the prior episodes of the Cardinal Sports Zone podcast, go back, check them all out. Go to cardinalsportszone.com, the place it all began. Hit the podcast tab, the drop-down menu, CSZ Podcast. You can listen to all the old ones there. We still have a few old ones of Live with 55. ESPN Louisville has taken they moved to a new system, so they took all their old stuff down. So we no longer have our old episodes of Cardinal Sports Zone on 93.9. Shout out to everybody out there that's sharing the podcast, commenting. Mika Fitzpatrick with a pick. Go Steelers. Absolutely. You think we're sitting good with Isaiah? I'll let you know after the interview. I believe Pierce will start. I believe Pierce expects to start. Okay. I always got to give a shout out though to my guys, Marcus Maven and Steve Rummage. Marcus lets me on the midnight show to promote this all the time. Steve lives across the street from me now and bothers me to no end. He's like the brother I never wanted. I'm just kidding. Love it, dude. But again, shout out to them and their show. You can catch them from 10 to noon, Monday through Friday on ESPN, The Ville 93.9. Shawn, since I want to get you off here, since you are very, very, you are taking down the quality of this stream majorly just by your face. I'm just kidding. Any last words, buddy?
Just beat USF. Just beat them, and then we can worry about the rest of the season. Just get that, and then we can see what we got from there.
Shawn, it looks like I'm watching one of those old Japanese movies where with the American subtitles. It's like, okay, I'll talk to you later. We'll win. Sam.
Everyone just try to stay safe out there. Let the people you love know that you love them. Tomorrow's not promised. And go Cards, and please, for the love of God, beat South Florida.
Dalton.
Since Joey's not here, I'll go ahead and give you the message to help control the pet population by getting your pets spayed and neutered.
Gimmick infringement. No, I'm just joking. Go ahead.
Relax.
Oh, double.
It cancels out. But no, just beat USF. Hopefully hearing some good news starting tomorrow with basketball, and let's hope that kicks off a solid week.
Absolutely, man. I'm looking forward to staying up till 3 a.m. to get this Isaiah Miranda interview done with Dalton. My last words, again, these guys couldn't have said it better. Absolutely cherish the time you have with the people that you love, because it's never promised. Get hype, support this team. It's not their fault that some of the coaches may or may not be D2Ds. And last but not least, again, as I said earlier, we will be on a different schedule this week. We will do we just did our predictions, so I'm not sure we'll give y'all the normal Thursday show unless something, maybe we give them a quick 30-minute show virtually to talk about the Curtis Williams commitment. I'm putting it out there, and some other stuff. So we might do that, but The South Florida recap will most likely go on as normal sometime Sunday. I just got to find somewhere that's the only thing about going on vacation. The internet sucks, and I have asked these people, since I go to vacation with them all the time, to upgrade stuff, and they refuse to. So here's hoping that they will for me this time. I got to just tell y'all, thanks again for all the support. We love you all. We appreciate you all. Thanks for sharing this. Thanks for watching. Until next time, this has been the Cardinal Sports Zone podcast. And Boot Shawn, you're gone.
Pay attention.